America. I'm Eric Erickson. Stand by. These are the 4 things you need to know this afternoon. Up first, the Middle East is once again on knife's edge. Iran has confirmed it launched missiles at Al Udeida Air Base in Qatar. Probably butchering the name, if I'm honest. America's largest military installation in the region. They also fired missiles at Iraq. They're retaliating for President Trump's weekend strikes on Iranian nuclear sites. Thankfully, the bases in Iraq and Qatar had largely been evacuated, and there were no reports of casualties. In fact, it's come out since, according to the New York Times, Iran told Qatar and Iraq the attacks were coming prior to the attacks, so they could tell the Americans and we could blow up the missiles. It was all for show, at least for now. The Trump administration is warning Iran that any further retaliation will be met with overwhelming force. The real question is whether this spirals into a wider conflict, dragging us deeper into a conflict with Iran. The administration is meeting today to decide next steps, but this is a reminder that weakness invites aggression. The only language the Iranian regime respects is strength. We've got to ask, are we prepared for the further consequences if this escalates? The Biden year saw appeasement and pallets of cash to Iran. Now the Trump administration is reasserting red lines and showing that we will use force. The world is watching to see if we'll stand for him or if we'll blink. Next, oil prices and the whipsaw after Iran. After the missile strikes, oil prices actually went down. Why? Well, because Israel and Iran managed to avoid the striking of oil infrastructure in the Middle East, and Iran has not closed the Straits of Hormuz. The question, however, remains whether or not Iran is going to try to take out the Straits of Hormuz. If so, China would be affected more than the United States, because so much of its oil comes from the Middle East. 5% of our oil does, over 90% of China's does. President Trump is all over this, demanding energy producers keep prices down. He's calling for more American drilling. On True Social, he wrote, "Drill, baby, drill, and I mean now. Everyone, keep oil prices down. I'm watching. You are playing right into the hands of the enemy. Don't do it." It was in all caps. This is classic Trump. He's putting American consumers first. He's not letting OPEC or Iran hold our economy hostage. The left's war on American energy, shutting down pipelines, blocking leases, made us vulnerable. If we want true energy security, we need to unleash American oil and gas, not depend on unstable regimes or green pipe dreams. Big shakeup at the Voice of America. The Trump administration has laid off over 85% of VOA's workforce, effectively shutting down the U.S.-funded news outlet. The administration says the Voice of America was bloated, biased, and wasteful, all true, and the taxpayers shouldn't foot the bill for a left-leaning bureaucracy. Well, yes and no. Critics are howling that this is an attack on press freedom. For years, VOA has drifted from its core mission, telling America's story to the world. It's become just another mouthpiece for the D.C. establishment, particularly those on the left. Trump's move is about accountability. If VOA can't deliver unbiased news and serve American interests, it shouldn't exist in its current forum, although we have called back to work the Farsi speakers to broadcast into Iran because VOA occasionally serves a useful purpose. A federal judge is now asking the administration for more details on the shutdown. The writing's on the wall, though. The era of taxpayer-funded, unaccountable media is ending. This shakeup might restore credibility to the U.S. international broadcasting community or let the private sector do the job better. I would just say, as someone who grew up with the Voice of America, it can be a force for good in the world if it's done properly. Ford is plowing ahead with its $3 billion electric vehicle battery factory in Michigan, even as Congress moves to kill the Biden-era tax credits that made the project possible. Here's the kicker. The plant relies on technology licensed from China's and the world's biggest battery producer located there. Republicans, with Trump's backing, are pushing legislation to block federal subsidies for any battery plant using Chinese tech or materials. Ford says it's going to finish the factory with or without the tax breaks, but exposes real problems. We're trying to reshore manufacturing, but we're still dependent on China for key technology. That's what happens when climate policy is driven by ideology instead of common sense. Democrats handed out billions of dollars in subsidies with no strings attached, and now American companies are in bed with Beijing. If we want to secure our supply chains and compete with China, we need to support American innovation, not just shovel taxpayer dollars to any project with a green label. That's the 4 things you need to know this afternoon. I'm Eric Erickson, telling you the truth, not just what you want to hear. Please stay engaged, stay informed, and please keep the faith.